What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So, got some more NFL draft talk today. I know I recapped the first round on Monday, but I am going to I'm going to talk about a few drafts I like, a couple that I didn't. Some intriguing picks from the middle rounds, the second through fifth round, sixth and seventh round. There was really nobody that I've ever heard of. Like most drafts are. So, but the second, third, fifth round, look, those middle rounds will go over guys that were taken that kind of caught my eye. Those guys who weren't quite first round picks, but still I think could make an impact and still could be good players. So there was a bunch of them this year. So I'm going to go over that, and then we'll talk some NBA and NHL playoffs. I haven't talked that since Thursday. It's now Tuesday, so a lot has happened, obviously. So let's get started. Let's start with there were 6 drafts that I thought really stood out to me as the best ones. Well, one of them that I really like was the Minnesota Vikings. I think getting J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner in the first round is huge for them. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy, who is, I think will be a solid quarterback. You could argue should be taking the 10th pick. I've said before, I think he's somewhere between prime Andy Dalton and prime, and then Kirk Cousins with the Vikings. So I think he'll be a solid starter. I talked about this on Monday. I think I went through every prospect pretty much that was taken in the first round. He's doesn't have the best arm in the world, but he's very accurate with the football. He's very smart, doesn't turn the ball over. Not the best athlete in the world, but also he's coming up from the national championship with Michigan. Not the best arm, but also the Michigan team ran the ball so much with, Jim Harbaugh coaching the team. Obviously, you have Blake Corum, a top back in the country there. So I think he'll be able to showcase him a little bit more. I think he's got a little better than people give him credit for. Everything I'm saying might scream Mac Jones. That is his floor for sure, but I think he'll be closer to his ceiling of, like an Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins. I would say his ceiling's probably Kirk Cousins. His middle ground, I guess, is probably, I would say, prime Andy Dalton with the Bengals, and his floor is Mac Jones. Obviously, he's not good, but I don't think he'll get to his floor. I think he's a very good fit with the Vikings. He's got a lot of really good weapons over there with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, of course, T.J. Hawkinson. So he's set up to succeed. They're not going to rush him. It looks like Sam Darnold will enter training camp as a starter. We'll see where it goes from there. But I like that pick. You move up the one spot, you get about 4th and 5th round picks, move up one spot. I think they were afraid that Denver, the Reds were going to jump them for him. So after that, it was only guy that was there was Bo Nix. I'm not sure how high they were on Bo Nix. So that they figured, all right, we have to get J.J. McCarthy. I think they tried to trade up to get Drake May. Patriots said no. I think they offered 11-23 in a first next year. Patriots said no, so they're like, all right, let's hang tight for now. And as the draft board fell to them, they're like, all right, the Jets aren't going to take them, but will the Raiders at 13, the Broncos at 12 jump up, and take them? On the Raiders where you want Michael Penix, but he was already gone. Do they move up? Denver really wants a quarterback. There were rumors throughout this whole process Sean Payton was in love with J.J. McCarthy, so could they jump the Jets? Jets said they were going to move down a couple of spots, maybe recoup some draft capital. So Vikings decided to move up a spot before from the 5th, and they moved up 6 spots to get Dallas Turner, which I like. He would not have been there at 23. I cannot imagine. They got to get a lot of help on defense, especially at pass rusher after losing to Danielle Hunter in the offseason to the Texans in free agency. So you get his possible replacement, Dallas Turner, who is a very polished pass rusher. So they found possibly at least their quarterback. I'm not sure if McCarthy was a franchise guy, but at least their quarterback for them possibly the next 8 to 10 years. And they got a nice piece on defense to possibly build around Dallas Turner. New England Patriots, I hate to say it, but they had a really good draft. Drake May at 3. Again, there was a lot of rumors they might trade it. They were going to take J.J. McCarthy. They didn't overthink it. They took Drake May, who I thought was the best quarterback in this class. I think he'll be very good. They also took 2 receivers I like. They took Jalen Polk in the 2nd round. I like this kid a lot. I think he'll be a really solid second receiver in this league. Just took Javon Baker in the 4th round. I think has the potential as well. So I think they'll be You get two good receivers. Overall, they had a pretty strong draft. Pittsburgh Steelers, I thought, had a really good draft. You take Troy Fautanu in the first round. He's a good player, very good talent, can also play guard. And then getting Zach Frazier, towards the end of the second round was a good move. He was probably the second best center in this class. I know Graham Barton might be listed as a center. To me, he's going to end up being a guard. So when it comes to true centers, it went Jackson Powers Johnson and then Zach Frazier for me at West Virginia. Center's a pretty safe position to draft in the NFL. They haven't had a center in a while. Royce Marquis Pouncey retired. They whiffed on Kendrick Green a few years ago. That hasn't worked out. Trevor and Mason Cole didn't really work out, and I think they may have found a guy who could be really solid for a while in Zach Frazier. I think the center position has that position is like the players have signed a second contract like the most times of any position in the NFL of guys I think were drafted in the first round since I don't even know since what year. I forgot since what year that came out. I think that was a stat from a couple of years ago. But it's a very safe position. They usually, they're usually when they work out, they're really really good. And even when they don't work out, they're not the worst. You can at least they can at least be serviceable for a couple of years. At least be a depth piece if nothing else. So I like that. They get Roman Wilson in the third round. I like that a lot. I like him coming out of Michigan. I think he's going to be a very solid slot receiver from this league, like a Tyler Lockett kind of guy. The Steelers need, I think, one more receiver. You trade Deontay Johnson to Carolina. Need a number 2 behind George Pickens. It's not Calvin Lawson. It definitely isn't. Who's the guy they got? Quiz Watkins. It's not him either. They could survive as 3 or 4. But Roman Wilson, I think, was a good pick. Also, Peyton Wilson, the third, was also a very good pick. I liked him a lot. I thought he was an early to mid second round pick. He's really talented. His tape is really, really incredible. He's all over the field. Very good speed out of the inside linebacker position. Steelers have not had a really great linebacker core in a while, and this is a big step forward in improving that. He's got a knee problem. He played last year around ACL, which, by the way, is crazy to even think about. So that definitely made him slide. Every year, those guys, you think, all right, they should go by the early part of the second round. They end up sliding to the third or fourth round. You wonder why. You hear, oh, they have this injury problem or this little issue, but like no one really knew about until it comes out. All of a sudden, it comes out like right on draft day. To me, like some of these guys, it's like, all right, is it that big of an issue if in the 4, 5, 6 months when the teams were battling it never came out and it comes out literally when like the day they're going to get drafted. It's a little weird to me. Happens every year, but love the pick as well. They had a really strong draft. Like Omar Khan's a really good GM. He missed on Kenny Pickett in the first round. He's not done a good enough job building an offensive line in recent years, taking Kendrick Green over Creed Humphrey. He got a little bit screwed. Before he was GM, but Marquise Pouncey ended up retiring, and then you let go of David DeCastro and Alejandro Villanueva. All these guys just got old at the same time. They're kind of walked away at the same time. So they kind of had to completely build their O line from scratch, and they kind of failed to do so. Like I said, taking Kendrick Green over Creed Humphrey. Trading Kevin Dotson this year was a stupid move. So, but he's trying to rebuild it. Last year, signed Isaac Samuelo to a pretty decent contract, drafting Robert Jones in the first round. Now you draft Triple Time and Zach Frazier with back-to-back picks. They're clearly rebuilding their line. I think it's maybe starting to take shape. You think, all right, Fautanu and Jones, as you have 2 good young tackles. Now you put Frazier in the middle. You have Samuelo next to him. The line almost doesn't look so bad. And now you add Roman Wilson as a receiver for Russell Wilson. You add Peyton Wilson in the middle of that defense. You already have, of course, TJ Watt on that defensive line. You have some young pieces in the secondary like Minka Fitzpatrick and Joey Porter, you drafted last year. Played very well as a rookie. Also, the Steelers team, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback position with Russell Wilson, of course, towards the end of his career. What is Justin Fields? But they look like they have a pretty solid core. Now, Washington Commanders, I thought, had a pretty good draft. I'm thinking Jalen Daniels at 2, a kid that I really like. He was my quarterback 2 in this class. I think he's got some more. So he's got a smaller frame. He's got, he holds on to the ball too long. Takes a lot of sacks. because it was small for me, worry about the injuries possibly. But he's an incredible athlete. He's got a great arm. And I think will be very good. You took Jason Newton in the second round. I think this is a really good pick. This is incredible value. He's I had him as my second best defensive tackle in this class. I thought he was a first round talent, definitely a top 25 player in this class. And they got him, I think, at 36 or 38. That's a really good value by the Washington Commanders. A good job there by Adam Peters. Of course, he comes from San Francisco, who, of course, always had really good, deep defensive lines. And the Commanders, obviously, you traded away Chase Young and Montes at the deadline last year, but you still have Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne in the middle. Now you had Jason Newton. Jonathan Allen wasn't happy with the team last year. Could he be a trade candidate by the start of next year? If so, you could slot Newton right in there. Now you have him there. So that's a very good pick. Dan Quinn likes to have deep defensive line rotations. Now we can do that. Now having three really good defensive tackles with Payne, Allen, and now Newton. I like the Mike Sandstro pick. Look, he was coming from Michigan. That Michigan team was absolutely incredible. I think we'll go down as one of the better college football teams of the last 25 years. Looking back, we ranked the best college football teams of the 2000s. I think Michigan will be in that conversation. Maybe not quite as good as like LSU from 2019 or the Florida Gators team, 2008, whatever that one crazy team on off the field. But they'll be like kind of sitting at the same table. I like Mike Sanchez. I think he could be a solid corner from the Commanders need for a while. And they get that. Also got Ben Sinnott, the tight end to Kansas State. You got him. Commanders haven't really had a legit tight end in a while ever since, Jordan Reed's problem, the 1 year Logan Thomas had. You just let him go. So he could replace, possibly could replace Logan Thomas. That could be a nice security blanket. Tight ends, quarterbacks love those tight ends. Those like they struggle a lot of times when they under pressure, and it's easy little dump off. So I like that pick as well. Los Angeles Chargers also had a very good draft. Everyone said, "Oh, they should have taken receiver first round," but y'all remember they are going to run the ball a lot with Jim Harbaugh as the head coach, and they also brought in Greg Roman to be their offensive coordinator. So Jim is an absolute stud. I mean, no one thought it was a bad pick. They just thought, or probably the position they was not maybe much of a need. Having him and Richmond Slater right off the tackles can go a long way in doing what they want to do. And you get Lad McConkey in the second round. I like him a lot. He reminds me of Tyler Lockett. I think will be a very good slot receiver in this league for a long time. Get him in the early part of the second round. Also draft Junior Colson in the third round. Linebacker out of Michigan. Of course, he reunites with Jim Harbaugh. And you gotta remember this. Jim Harbaugh took the defensive coordinator from Michigan, Jesse Minter, with him to the Chargers for the same role. So he's playing in the exact same defense. That is crucial. Colson, I think, is a very good player. That's a great pick. Also, they took Brennan Rice in the seventh round. Look, if he's an eighth the player that his dad was, he's going to be phenomenal. And that's going to be a steal. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if his name got him drafted or what. Don't have too much intel on the kid, but I think he was worth a flyer in the seventh round, if nothing else. And the last one I want to talk about is staying in the same city, Los Angeles Rams. I had a very good draft with that. Les Snead did a great job. They were finally armed with a first-round pick and a good amount of picks for the first time in quite a few years. He took Jared Verse from the second round. I love that kid. I talked about that Monday. Really explosive, really athletic. I think he'll be very good, very fast. Speed rusher, I think will be really good for a long time. And also taking his teammate Braden Fisk in the second round at defensive tackle. So obviously the Rams lose Aaron Donald to retirement in the offseason. That's a humongous loss. Took put a big dent in their potential for the season. But trying to fill that role with Verse and Fisk, I don't think it's a bad strategy. There's no way to replace Aaron Donald. No one ever will. But you gotta try to at least kind of rebuild the defensive line. I think they did a good job starting to do that in this draft. Taking two guys who played next to each other only a year ago. I like Braden Fisk as well. Blake Corum, I have to pick a lot third round. He's a really hard worker. He's a good story. Obviously had a very good college career his last 2 years at Michigan. And he's very similar to Kyren Williams. So now you have a two-headed monster of him and Kyren Williams. That Rams offense is looking really, really, really good. And also taking Cameron Kitchens in the fourth round. I thought that was a steal. I thought he was a mid-second round pick. Getting in the fourth round is really good value. I think he's going to be a very solid safety. And the Rams defense needs a lot of work. And they get some help in this draft. So there was a couple of drafts I didn't love. I didn't like the Falcons did. I think it's kind of obvious. Michael Penix, look, I like the player. I'm higher on him than most. He's my number 3 quarterback in this draft, but the fact that you paid Kirk Cousins $180 million, coming off a torn Achilles until he's 40, and then drafting an off-injured quarterback who's already 24 years old, you might sim until he's 28. It doesn't make any sense. And there were so many good players you could have taken to win now for a team that's in win now mode. Don't really get it. And then Rook or Horhoro in the second round defensive tackle. No, horrible pick. But I thought they could have done better. I like Devin Trice in the 3rd round. He's a kid who's, I think, has a chance to be a very good speed rusher. And the right system could be very good. I don't hate his fit in the Falcons defense, but outside of that, there was nothing that I really liked that they did. Also, the Titans draft I didn't love. Look, they took Chase Latham some overall. I like Latham. I think he'll be a solid tackle for a while. But just a reach, you had 2 guys, Ulrich Shell and Travis Flogger, who I had ranked ahead of him. In the class, I just think it was a little bit of a reach. I thought there was a better player available at that same position. They need to go tackle. They need to happen with the 7th pick, but I would have went with Fashanu or even Fulaga over him. And Devondre Sweat in the 2nd round, you already have Jeffrey Simmons, and putting those 2 next to each other could be very beneficial, but he had a DWI like 4 weeks ago. It's not a position of need. Like, was that really? I mean, the value was fine. They took him in the middle of the 2nd round. That's right where I had him ranked. But the guys had DWI, already had Jeffrey Simmons. I thought that was a little bit unnecessary. Nothing they did really just jump the page either. So let's talk about some intriguing draft picks in the 2nd round. I didn't already mention Keon Coleman with the Bills. He's not the biggest speed threat. He only ran a 4.6, which I will say was a little bit concerning. But overall, I think he's a pretty polished receiver. I think he's got a chance to be really solid in this league. Not sure if he's a 1, but he could be a solid 2. Bills need receiver help as much as pretty much any team after trading Stephon Diggs and losing Gabe Davis in free agency. That was a pretty good pick. He also moved back twice to get him. Colts getting A.D. Mitchell at 52 is a really good value. I know, apparently came up that he didn't interview well. Chris Ballard came out and just absolutely laced into that report, saying it's BS, saying it's a good kid. We can't just keep bringing these kids down, which we made a good point about. Everybody was finding anything that came to nitpick these kids coming out of college. So that was actually a pretty, I think, important press conference. I think he's a very good player, really good speed. He's got similar speed to Xavier Worthy. He's from our teammate, who of course was the 1st round by the Chiefs. I think actually has a higher ceiling. So I thought it was a very good pick by the Colts. I think it will be at least a very good number 2. He's got game-changing speed. Cooper DeJean for the Eagles. That's phenomenal. The Eagles getting Quinn Mitchell and then Cooper DeJean, he's already 2 of the 3 best defensive backs in this class. Didn't have to trade up at all. That's really impressive work by Howie Roseman. Their secondary needs a lot of work. Struggled last year in coverage desperately, and getting those 2 guys, you get, I think, a true number 1 corner in Mitchell, and I think you got a versatile guy that can play corner and safety in DeJean rather. 2nd round, Tyler Newman, safety at Minnesota, goes to the Giants. I like that a lot. I have him as early to mid-round 2nd. It's good value. You lose Xavier McKinney in free agency. He'll replace him. I think he's a good player. Khalil McKinstry goes to the Saints. I'm not going to lie. I'm not that high on Khalil McKinstry. I think his name being so cool was the reason he was talked about. But could be a solid corner. I think it was worth a flyer in the middle of the 2nd round. Especially for a guy who we thought might go in the 1st round. Jackson Powers Johnson for the Raiders. I think there's incredible value. I think that's the CEO. He was my number 1 center in this class. I thought was at least a top 25 talent in this class. I thought might go possibly by pick 20. I think he's a very good player. I think it's a great pick by the Las Vegas Raiders. Green Bay Packers got Adrian Cooper, a linebacker. I think that was a good pick. I have him as an early to mid-round 2nd. Solid value. You lose Devondre Campbell. He can definitely replace him. Penguins took Jonathan Brooks. I actually like this pick. I know he's put for torn ACL. So people are worried about that. But if he's healthy, I think he's got really good burst. And he's got a chance to be a very good back. And, they need a running back. Miles Sanders is not it. That was a horrible contract. It's the reason Scott Fitter doesn't have a job now. I mean, the Bryce Young trade was for a reason, obviously. But like, I don't think they even have Triple Hubbard anymore, so he should be their top back. I think we'll have some success. Trey Benson by the Cardinals in the third round was a good pick as well. Before we get to that, Kingsley Sumataya tackle for the Chiefs at the end of the second round. Good move by the Chiefs. He's very good. Tackle out of BYU. You lose Donovan Smith. Juwan Taylor's a penalty machine. O-Tack wasn't there underneath for the Chiefs. Your two biggest things were receiver and tackle, and you hit on both in the first 2 rounds. And let's talk about Troy Benson, third round. I think he was the best back in this class. He's very, very good. You have James Conner who's getting older. Towards the end of his contract, he'll spell Conner throughout the year, and by at least 2025, we'll definitely be ready to be the week 1 starter, if not by the end of the season. Zach Zinter, I like the pick by the Browns, guard out of Michigan, part of that dominant offensive line of Michigan last year. Browns love running the ball. You got Nick Chubb coming off a really major, what could have been a career-threatening injury. He's getting older. Is going to need, that interior offensive line. Now you beef it up. Joe Bitonio getting older. So I think that was a good pick. A pick I love is Peyton Wilson, linebacker at NC State. I think I might have talked about, was talking earlier about, I think, Edgerrin Cooper, injury. I meant that towards Peyton Wilson. My apologies. This kid's tape is phenomenal. Edgerrin Cooper, I like his tape as well. So that part of my thing stands. I love Peyton Wilson's tape. He is really, really just very noticeable on the field. He's really good. Seems to have struggled when it comes to finding linebackers in recent years, but love that pick a lot. I think they got a steal. In the 4th round, Jadavion Sanders. Panthers opened up the 4th round, taking him. I like that pick. He was my number. After Bowers, this time was very thin. So a couple of guys that I think were flyers. And this was one of them. They have not had a legit tight end since Greg Olsen left. It's been a few years. Hayden Hurst didn't do much of anything. I mean, they didn't have a great passing off last year either, but I think this is a good pick. I like the Broncos taking Troy Franklin. I didn't love what the Broncos did in the draft. I think they reached out on Bo Nix in the 1st round, but obviously you really like Franklin with Bo Nix. You're supposed to be your franchise quarterback. He's a solid receiver. I like him. I like this. He's a suck-around guy. He goes in the 4th. I like what Texas taking Cade Stover. I know you already have a ton of weapons, and you brought back Dalton Schultz for 3 years, but you can never have too many weapons for a young quarterback. Stroud's obviously a star already, and I liked him. There was the only other tight ends I thought were worth taking. Were Ben Sinnott, who went in the 2nd round to the Commanders. You have Cade Stover at Ohio State, goes to Houston. Sanders goes in the 4th round to Carolina, and then Everett Hall just because he went to Iowa. I mean, how bad can the guy be? Probably of Iowa, but I think he's definitely worth a fly in the 4th round. Texans had a very solid draft, even though they didn't have a 1st round pick. Also, Braylon Allen late in the 4th round to the Jets. I like that pick by the Jets. He might be of an A.J. Dillon. These running backs, they get burnt out very easily. They get injured very easily because of how much punishment they take. Breece Hall had a 20 ACL in his rookie year 2 years ago. You never know. I think it's good insurance. I think that was a good pick. I like him coming out of Wisconsin. Wisconsin produces good running backs as well. And the only other pick I had in the 5th round, Jeremiah Trower Jr., steal by the Eagles for sure. They've had a whole inside linebacker for a while, and I think they were able to fill it with Jeremiah Trower Jr. at Clemson. So that's my NFL draft talk. Let's talk some playoffs of our NBA and NHL before we close this thing out. So we get the Bucks and the Pacers series. We're backtracking to Friday, the 26th of April. Of course, now it's the 30th of April. Pacers win 121-118 in overtime. Halliburton 18-10 and 16. He really hasn't scored a lot this series, but he's been able to still do things with distributing the basketball, which of course he always does. Middleton 42-10 was not enough. Of course, Giannis did not play in the game, and Damian Lillard also got hurt in the game. Yeah, the Mavericks beating the Clippers 101-90, 92-10-9 for Luka. Indiana and Dallas took 2-1 series leads there, and then Timberwolves beat the Suns 126-109, 36-9 from Anthony Edwards. He had a big game. That guy is so freaking good. Then going to the weekend on Saturday, Magic beat the Cavs 112-89 to tie up the series at 2 games apiece. 34-13 from Franz Wagner. Big game from him coming up clutch. So Orlando, after getting beat up those first 2 games, take them right back from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then you got the Thunder beating the Pelicans 106-85. Blew them out of the water 24-8 That's for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who to me is the MVP of the league. Celtics over the Heat, 104-84. TM 22-11-6. And Lakers avoid a sweep, beating the Nuggets 119-108. 32-14 loss, 33 actually for Jokic, 25-23 6 though for Anthony Davis. Now Sunday, you had the Knicks beat the Sixers 97-92. Jalen Brunson with a Knicks franchise playoff record, 47 points and 10 assists. He was absolutely incredible. One of the better play performances I've seen in a while. Absolute dog. Knicks got 3-1, but Joel Embiid had 1 whole point in the fourth quarter. Absolute fraud. Clippers over the Mavericks, 116-111, 33-6-7 for Harden. Kyrie had 40 in the loss. Luka said he's got to help out Kyrie a little bit more. That series is tied too. That's a phenomenal series by between the Clippers and the Mavericks. Pacers beat the Bucks 126-113. Of course, no Giannis and no Dame in that game. 29-9 and 3 blocks for Miles Turner had a big game. The Indiana team is a dangerous team. They're up 3-1 on the Milwaukee Bucks. Doc Rivers, I don't know what else to say about that dude. And Timberwolves beat the Suns 122-116 to get swept, and they sweep the They sweep the Phoenix Suns in 4 games. 49 points for Devin Booker, but was not enough. 49-6 for Anthony Edwards. That guy is absolutely phenomenal. There are not 10 basketball players better than him. I think he should be the face of the league. But that absolutely incredible. Talking trash to Durant the whole series. That guy is absolutely phenomenal. Stud. He's a dog. Love that man. What a fair for the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to talk about them this week at some point. Yeah, bro, what a disaster. They're going to fire frame though. It's disgusting. And yesterday, Celtics over the Heat 102-88. 38 points for Derek White. Porzingis hurt his knee in the game. Did not return. I'd say he's going to be fine. Big game for Derek White for 38. He's a really good player. Thunder over the Pelicans, 97-89. Sweep the New Orleans Pelicans. Jalen Williams, who showed up in that interesting fit, and then backs up 24 and 8 boards. So Thunder sweep the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Denver Nuggets beat the Lakers 108-106. Another game-winning shot for Jamal Murray with 3.6 seconds on the clock. 25-20 and 9 for Jokic big game. Lakers go home. See you later, LeBron. Rumors about, I might try to get his son draft. He's going to opt out. I will talk about the Lakers at some point this week, hopefully, as well. But Nuggets win in 5 games again over the Lakers, this time in the first round. The NHL playoffs, let's again backtrack into Friday. Raiders in Game 3 beat the Capitals 3-1. 29 saves for Igor Shesterkin. Canucks beat the Predators 2-1, go up 2-1. Avalanche beat the Jets 6-2. That's been a high-scoring series. A lot of goals in that one. Go up 2-1. And Oilers all over the Kings 6-1 to go up 2-1. Heading to the weekend on Saturday. You have the Islanders avoid a sweep against the Hurricanes 3-2 in double overtime. So they don't get swept. The Lightning beat the Panthers 6-3 to avoid a sweep. Bruins over the Maple Leafs 3-1 to go up 3-1. And you had Stars beat the Vegas Golden Knights 3-2 in overtime as they avoid the 3-0 hole. On Sunday, you had the Avalanche beat the Jets 5-1, take a 3-1 series lead. Canucks beat Predators 4-3 in overtime to go up 3-1. Rangers beat the Capitals 4-2 to sweep the Washington Capitals as the league's best team moves on. Oilers beat the Kings 1-0, but they got 3-1. 3-3 saves shutout for Stuart Skinner. And yesterday, you had the Panthers destroy the Lightning 6-1. They win 5 games. 31 save for Sergei Bobrovsky. Lightning's run might be over. They have won just 3 playoff games in the last 2 years. Back-to-back first-round defeats after 3 straight Cup final appearances and the first 2, of course, they won. I think their run is over. They're much older now, not as deep anymore. I think Vasilov is starting to lose a step. He has not been as good in the playoffs the last 2 years. And then Stars beat the Golden Knights 4-2, and they top the series 2. That's been a phenomenal series between the West best team and the Golden Knights, who of course are very dangerous coming off a Stanley Cup. Ottinger made 32 saves in that game. But that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.